Now we will be learning about Aerotropolis. What is this Aerotropolis? Is it any new type of police? No. Actually, this Aerotropolis is human habitat of a particular area is called as Aerotropolis. Which place is called as Aerotropolis? Generally, we call it as, if a big building of 5 or 6 floors or 10 floors or 20 floors, we call it as apartment. Okay, if 2 floors, we call it as a villa or maybe duplex or maybe single room or something. Then what are these Aerotropolis? What type of these areas? Which area is called as Aerotropolis? So Aerotropolis are nothing but airport cities. Have you got any idea? So airport city. Airport city means not the city which has an airport. It is a place, human habitat, which has been created or which has been established in and around. That means at the surroundings, around and surroundings the airport. Which airport? Most probably the international airports. Like in Hyderabad we have Rajiv Gandhi International Airport. So in and around this Rajiv Gandhi International Airport, we can find many human habitats, many communities, many human communities. Communities means human gatherings, like different types of gated communities, or maybe different types of residential settlements, or different types of commercial settlements also. So what is the advantage of this? See, the first thing is, when we establish a human habitat, human settlements around these, particularly the airports, it becomes more and more advantageous, because when people wanted to move for the business activities, if they are nearby the airport, so it will be easier for them to move and come back and do their work. And moreover, the commercial settlements also, the like business, maybe the hotels or maybe the conference halls or maybe shops or maybe different types of things. So even that also are in and around the nearby the airports, then it will be easier for the people for having their business transactions, their movement, as well as their establishment of their business. That's the best advantage for them. So nowadays we can find these business settlements in and around almost all the airports, like as I said, Rajiv Gandhi International Airport in Hyderabad, as well as in Bangalore, as well as in like Delhi, then Mumbai. So along with that, even we can find not only in our country, even we can find in other countries also, like London, Cairo, as well as even in Tokyo and France, Paris. Like that we can find in many of the places also where we have these Aerotropolis or airport cities, where human habitats, where people try to, or people will be preferred to settle their settlements in and around the airport. So even we can find in UAE or Dubai airport, or even the UAE also, where we have Aerotropolis, what we call as airport cities. So these are the different types of human settlements what we can find in and around our country as well as across the world. Next, what we will be learning is migrations. What is this migrations? People moving from one place to another place is called as a migrations. So this migration is considered based on 2 factors. The first factor is place of birth, and second thing is stay period. Stay period of 6 months or more than 6 months. 6 months or more than 6 months. So these are the 2 factors which we consider as assets, or the factors to consider a person as a migrant or migrated. So the first thing is place of birth. That means, say for example, I have been born in my hometown. My place of birth is that one, but whereas I am staying in Hyderabad. So if we check according to the census or according to the calculations, then I am a migrant. Then second thing is stay period. Say I have been staying here more than 2 years. That means I have been migrated from some other place. So I will consider as a migrant. So these 2 factors. The first thing is place of birth, and second thing is place of stay period. That means 6 months or more than 6 months. This we consider as 2 factors as assets for the classifying people into migrants, or the migration patterns, what we call. So in India, according to 2011 census, so 307 million people has been migrated from one place to another place. 307 million from in India in the year of 2011, from one place to another place. So their migration region may be different from one person to another person, from one place to another place, but they have been migrated. Different types of people, categories have been moved from one place to another place because of different reasons, maybe in search of employment, maybe for the sake of education, maybe to earn more money, or maybe for the establishment of the business, or maybe because of some problems, maybe family problems or health problems, or one other issue, one other problem, maybe different person to person. But near about in the year of 2000, according to 2011 census, 307 million people has been migrated from one place to another place. In this, we have different types like maybe males, females, families, or only male or only female, or maybe the children, like for the higher education. Like that, we have different types of migrations from our country in the year of 2011. According to the 11 census, is 307 million people. Next, what we have is seasonal and temporary migrants. What is this seasonal and temporary migrants? Seasonal and temporary migrants. What is this seasonal and temporary migrants? Seasonal and temporary migrants are that migrants who move from one place to another place only for a short period of time, maybe a week or 10 days or a month, 2 months or 3 months, or less than 6 months. Not 6 months, less than 6 months. Then we call it the people who are moving from one place to another place for a short period of stay, less than 6 months. That we consider as a temporary migrate or a seasonal migration. The better example is the neighboring state, Maharashtra. So all of us know that it is very rich in agriculture. The western part of Maharashtra is very rich in agricultural sector because of the availability of the water, and even the construction of Koyna Dam in the year of 1980s construction of Koyna Dam. So because of that, the sugarcane production has been increased a lot in Maharashtra state. So with the increase in the sugarcane production, the near about 186 cooperatives have been established in Maharashtra, and at presently they are also working, and now the number may be increased more than 200 or more than 220 also, or what it might be approximately. So more near about 186 cooperatives are there, which we call as a sugar industries or sugar cooperatives. So here, from people from the central Maharashtra as well as from the eastern Maharashtra will be migrating towards, and even from the nearby states also, people will be migrating to Maharashtra state, particularly towards the western Maharashtra. Every year, near about 6,50,000 people will be migrating. So in these 2 lakh people, near about in these 2 lakh people will be school going children at the age of 14 to 16 years. Okay, these 2 lakh people are, out of this 6,50,000 people, more than 2 lakh people are 14 to 16 years of age who are school going children. They will be migrating from central Maharashtra or eastern Maharashtra and nearby adjoining states to the western Maharashtra during the time of the sugarcane harvesting, because they in that particular area, these type of migration, that means they'll be going, they'll be harvesting the crop and they'll be coming back again. So most of the times they'll be staying there for a month or 45 days or 2 months. And these migrants, these people will be provided with a small hut, as well as the required facilities will be provided by the landlords. And not only that, this is not common only in Maharashtra, even we can find these even in the states of Telangana as well as in Andhra Pradesh also. Most probably here in my hometown, my village, native place, I can find the people will be migrating from my village to the nearby villages within 100 or 150 kilometers of radius during the harvesting of crop like cotton as well as even the mirchi also. During this time, people will be migrating from my village to the nearby villages. There they will be staying for a week or 10 days or 20 days or 1 month. Then they will be earning some money and then they will be coming back. So this we call as this type of migration we call as a seasonal and temporary migrants, which we can find these not only in one part of our country but throughout the country we can find these. So because of these, actually why these seasonal or the temporary migrants will be happening? So for that reason, the reason has been stated by one of the organization in our country, that is National Commission of Rural Labour. National Commission of the National Commission of Rural Labour in the year of 1990s. They have given a report. That report states that why this migrants happens is because of, the first thing is unequal development and regional disparities. unequal development and regional disparities are the reason for the shifting or the movement of the people. As I said, in the state of Maharashtra, from central Maharashtra, people will be moving, most of the workers, laborers will be moving to Western Maharashtra because of unequal development. When compared to central Maharashtra, Western Maharashtra has been developed more when compared to, in comparison with the central Maharashtra. So, the people from these areas, they are moving to that area because of the employment opportunities, because of the employment, you can say, livelihood. So, they are moving, as they are not getting that employment here, so they are moving to that particular regions. Next is regional disparities. As we know that one area will be rich in some of the attempts, other area may not be, another region may not be that good with that particular thing. As I said, Western Maharashtra is very rich with agricultural sector, whereas Eastern Maharashtra is not that developed. Even in, when compared to the United Andhra Pradesh, when it was Telangana was not separated, we had three regions like Andhra Pradesh, Andhra, Rayalaseema as well as Telangana. Out of these three, Coastal Andhra was very rich with agriculture and other activities, whereas Telangana region as well as Rayalaseema region was backward. Slowly. So this type of regional disparities, this may be also one of the reasons which has been shown for the segregation of the or separation of the state and forming a separate state, that is secondary. So not to go in detail into that matters. Like this, regional disparities also makes one of the reason for the migration of the people from one area to another regions. Not only that, even the agriculture, even here the providing of the employment from one area to another area also varies from place to place. Here, the migration is of different types. Like we say, rural to rural migration. See, as I said here, in Western Maharashtra, the employment opportunities are there, whereas in Central Maharashtra, not there. So from here only, the rural people only will migrate to the Western Maharashtra when compared to the urban people, because urban people are getting their own work in their own urban centers, so they will not move. Only the people of these rural areas will be migrating from this area to that area. So this we call as rural to rural migration. So not only there, even the people from Telangana as well as even some parts of Madhya Pradesh also will be migrating towards some parts of Karnataka also will be migrating towards that. So these we call as a rural migration, because rural people from these area are migrating to rural area of that state. So these we call as a rural migration. Mostly this rural migration will be temporary as well as the short period of migration. These we call as a temporary migration. So not only that, here even we can find some of the people like the people, what you can say, the employers in the state of Karnataka, the coffee plantations, as well as even the mining authorities, even the some of the what you can say, mining as well as what you can say, marble granites. These agencies in Delhi will be migrating people from different parts. So mostly how this migration will happen? See, now I have been migrated from my native to this place. When I found a work to my own relative, maybe friend or maybe brother or someone, I'll call them also. And even when I'll be here, even the people in my native place also will be having contacts with me, so that I can search a job for them, or I can see a job in my own company or my own industry for them, and they can be migrating over here. So these are the different types of migrations can be found. So here these migrations can be arranged by the employers, where the employer will be going and providing different types of facilities to the employee and bringing the employee from their own native towns and villages. Let us see, these also we can find different types of, even we can have here different types of sources are also there to get the employment. See, before 2 months when I lost my job, I was in search of a job. At that time I have been searched all my network, all my friends, relatives, wherever I have a network, wherever I have a known people. So everyone I have been asked whether is there any opportunity, job opportunity for me in your company or nearby company or in your known place. So with this what happens, all my channels have been activated, so that one or the other person will be search a job for me, or one or the other person may suggest or recommend me where there is a vacancy, where there is a place or employment for me. So like this, or this is also one of the place, or else I can go to the consultancies or mediators whom we can call as. So where who charge something, charge as a service charge, and they'll be providing us a employment opportunities. They'll be showing us a place where there is a employment, where there is a work for me, for the industry where I can work, for the place where I can work. So like these different types of opportunities are there now, where people are migrating from one place to another place. So even recently one of my friend has been shifted to UAE, to Dubai. Even I have been asked him whether I can find any employment in Dubai also. He said, yeah, yes, very soon, if we can find any, I'll be informing you. If he gives me opportunity over there, if he search any opportunity for me there, definitely I'll be migrating there, because I want to earn better. because I have been shifted to this urban area from my rural area because of to earn more money, to earn better income. So from here, when compared to that, if it is better, then definitely I'll be shifting there also. This we call as different types of migrations. So this we call as rural to rural migrations. Next we have rural to urban migration. So what is this rural to urban migration? So rural to urban migration. So rural to urban migration will be because of many reasons. The first thing is employment. Next what we have is education. Next, health. And the last one is maybe for the sake of facilities. So like this we have different reasons for rural to urban migration, but major 80% of the people from rural areas to urban areas will be moving for the sake of the employment. Another 15% will move for the sake of education. Out of 5, 3% will move for the sake of health, whereas 2% will move for the sake of the facilities what have been provided in the urban areas. So like this. So these employment opportunities, when a people doesn't find any work in the rural areas, definitely they'll try to move towards the urban areas. But remember one thing, when people are moving from rural areas to urban areas, what sort of work they can get over here? What type of employment they'll be getting here? Whether they'll be getting employment in organized or unorganized sector. So out of these, 90% of the people will be getting work in the unorganized sector. Because most of the people who are migrating from rural areas to urban areas, majority of the people are agricultural labor or maybe the farmers with a small piece of land, like maybe a person who has only 1 or 2 acres of land, but it's of no use. It's a rain-fed crop, rain-fed agricultural land. It can be cultivated only during the rainy season. So these type of things. So like this, these people will be coming over here. So what type of work they'll be getting over here? Definitely they'll be getting work in unorganized sector. And where they'll be staying, as their income is also very less. So they'll be staying in the slums of towns and cities, where the staying conditions are horrible and worst when compared to the rural areas or their native place. There they may be having their own house, which has all the facilities according to that particular locality. But here they will not have any facilities, particularly like drinking water or maybe sewage system or any hygienic conditions. So because of this, what happened? Because of these staying conditions, even their health will be deteriorated. They'll be coming across different types of diseases. When they come from rural areas to urban areas, they need to work for very odd jobs where they don't get any other facilities. Sometimes even they may not get work also. Even if they get work, the pay may be very less. So like this, different types of problems are there. Here we have different types of problem faced by different types of workers, whereas the people who are working in the mines, they'll be facing different types of lung problems. The people working in different types of industries and factories, they'll be facing skin diseases or allergies or different types of things. Like this, many problems they need to come across and they need to face the problems. And whatever they earn, that they need to spend on their own health conditions, their own food, as well as even other facilities also. In this, the people who are engaged in organized sector or the people after coming to urban areas where they have been learned some technical knowledge, where they have been learned something, when they get better opportunities for their livelihood as well as their living, then these type of people will be purchasing some lands. When they go back, these migrants will be purchasing lands or the assets or the home needs or some other things, or the fixed capital, or maybe they can create working capital for their further business, something like that according to their living conditions or the earning conditions in the urban areas. So this differs from place to place. And what are the different types of problems occurred or associated with this migrations? So before going to the problems of the migration, here we can find some of the international migration also. Here international migration will be of two types. The first thing is the people who are highly educated or professionals or skilled labor. These we call as a first type, where people will be migrating from one country to another country. Particularly from India, we have two types of international migrants. The first one is technical migrants, who are like maybe IT professionals, maybe doctors, engineers, or some other things. So these will be people will be moving from one developing country to developed country, developing to developed country. And even we can find in some of the cases where people will be migrating from developing country to another developing country, but not to underdeveloped country. Misunderstand that. Developing to another developing country, or majority of the people will be moving from developing country to developed country. Say for example, from India, most of the IT professionals or doctors, engineers, or maybe different types of professionals. What I maybe lawyers, or maybe like what you can say service sectors people, or some one other one. People are moving to the countries like USA, Canada, and even to other parts of the world also earlier. But now even people are moving to other parts like Germany, Russia, as well as even to other parts of the world, most of the developed countries. According to a census in the year of 1950s as well as 1960s, whereas unskilled people have been moved only to some parts of the world, like Arab countries, particularly the oil exporting countries, as a laborers, or maybe service boys, or maybe what you can say electricians, drivers, or service boys to work in the petrol bunks, or maybe the wells or refineries. Like that, people have been, or maybe as a masons, construction workers, or electricians. Like the different types of people also have been migrated to other parts of the world, particularly towards the what you can say West Asian countries, particularly the oil exporting countries. To that countries also they have been moved. But every year the movement of the people to one from our country to other countries have been increased. It is about, in the year of 1950s, it was only 10,000 people in a year used to move from our country to other countries. But at presently it has been increased. By the year of 1990s, more than 60,000 people a year are moving towards the developed countries from developing countries like India, particularly from our country. So not only these, even these unskilled and semi-unskilled labor are also moving towards the, as I said, the oil exporting countries, particularly the Middle East, as well as the West Asian countries like Japan, Norway, and even other parts of the countries also, they are moving. And particularly these migration towards these countries, countries like oil exporting countries or the West Asian countries, are from the states of Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, and Andhra Pradesh. From these states, more of the people are moving towards these countries like Dubai, UAE, as well as most of the Arab countries. So what happens when people migrate? Generally, what happens when people migrate? Here, many things will be associated. The first thing is, it may be advantageous or disadvantageous. It is advantageous if he goes there, earns a good living, earns good proper money, and comes back. What actually, when he goes, when he fulfills his motto, on what motto or on what ambition he has been migrated from his native place to other place, that it need to be. But generally what happens, majority of the cases, what happens actually is, people will be moving from rural areas to urban areas. Here they have many problems, like sometimes only the male person will be moving. At that time, the woman will be having responsibility to take care of all the things like family, children, house, or any piece of agricultural land, that activities, everything has to take care by the woman when male comes out. If entire family comes out, what happens? Accommodation in the urban areas will be difficult for them to provide, to get a good accommodation. The next thing is where the settlement of the family, work of the family, whether they get a work or not. Then second thing is, they won't get any different types of facilities from the government, like maybe a rice or different types of things which are being given through the fair price shop, through the PDS system, that they will not get because they are not the natives of this particular area. They won't get any other facilities, maybe medical leaves or maternity leaves, because they don't work in organized sector, they work in unorganized sector. So immediately after giving a birth, the woman has to go for the work. And moreover, when the children comes over here in urban centers, to send these children to the schools, so it will not be possible for them. So they need to take care of their siblings by staying at the home. And when they goes back, again, these children will not be taken into the schools in their own native place also. So at the end of the day, these children will be the dropouts from the school. We have been learned in our previous topics about the dropouts. At the beginning of the year, that is in the month of June, July, when there will be more and more children will be enrolled in the schools. But by the end of the year, that is by the mid of the year, by November or December, January, the dropouts will be increasing because of these migrations only. Sometimes even here, these migrants will be having two houses, one house in the slum areas and one house in their native areas. So they'll be having different types of contacts, different types of networks, so that they can get employment in different areas and different places. So to avoid all these type of different types of problems, people need to migrate to the places by knowing well about that particular area, to have their own circle, like network, maybe a known person, maybe a friend, maybe a neighbor, maybe a relative. Through these channels, if they goes, at least they can find some better place when compared to going to unknown place with unknowing facilities or unknowing planning. If they go some with planning, at least they can have some better opportunities. Here we have some monitoring of international migration. So according to these, in the year of 1983, Government of India has been passed an act. That act is called as the Immigration Act. The Immigration Act. So in the year of 1983, the Government of India has been passed an act which is called as the Immigration Act. So according to this act, what are the functions or what is the role or what are the responsibilities or what you can say, principles laid in this act, Immigration Act. According to this 1983 Immigration Act, the Government of India wanted to protect its citizens who are moving abroad for the sake of employment, education or any other purpose. So what actually, according to these, the Government of India has been established embassies in every country, almost all the countries where the Indians will be migrating. So when we have been seen, we can come across different types of news channels, newspapers and many more other places where the Indians have been taken as workers to many other countries and they were not paid properly, their working hours are more, they are forced, they are not given proper place to stay, and sometimes their passports have been dragged and they have been kept in their custody. They are not allowed to go to their hometowns or countries, and even some type of cheating or theft or robbery or killing or something has been happened to them. At that time, these, according to these 1983 Act, the Government of India will be providing the security, required facilities, and the needed help will be done from the end of the government to which country we are going. Even we can take the help of the government. Say, for example, the other day I have received a mail from some of the universities in some of the so and so country, from X country. In that mail, they have been mentioned every month we will be paying you near about 6 lakh rupees as your salary for your qualification and the experience. And the working days also only 5 days a week. Then immediately, if I gave a reply to that, then immediately they asked me to pay 50,000 rupees as a security deposit. Okay, I was ready to pay the 50,000 also. But when I discussed this with my friend, immediately they asked, why don't you consult the Indian embassy in that particular country? So that they'll inquire and they'll give you the particular information about that, whether that particular company is existing or not, whether they can provide you that or not, whether that company is a legal or illegal one. Everything they'll provide you. Then I thought, okay, it's a better. Then I've been kept my request to the embassy in that particular country. Then they have been stated within a week or 10 days of time they took and they have been giving me the information that the company is of not there. There is no particular company with that particular name. So this type of mails and even the newspapers also will be seen. Many of the people will be held up with their passports. Their passports will be kept in the custody of that particular local countries or the companies, and they'll be paying very less according to the agreement. What they has to pay, they'll not pay that much. Like the different types of problems will be there. To overcome all these problems and to protect the Indians, to provide security and to take care of the people or the Indians who are moving to other countries for the sake of employment or maybe for the sake of work or different types of activities, whatever it might be. So to protect the Indians from all these type of things, the Indian government has been made an act that we call as the Immigration Act of 1983. So according to this, it has been laid different types of rules and regulations where we can be safe and secure with the support and help of our government in other countries. Of course, I'm not saying that you will not be secured or safe in other countries, but at least we will be having a safe feel or secured feel how we are in our own house when we move out. That also we can find in this particular act. So all these are the things what we have been learned in this particular lesson, settlements and migration. So here generally we have been learned. If we sum up the lesson, we can find that here we have been learned about why people will be, what actually a settlement is, why people establish that type of settlements in that particular area. So what are the different types of measures we need to take when we have a human settlements? What are the necessary steps to be taken when we establish a settlement? Then we have been learned about the settlements, how it has been increased in the cities like Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Mumbai and even many other cities. Even we have been learned about the migration and what are the different types of migrations like rural to rural, rural to urban, as well as temporary migration, as well as different types of migration. And what are the reasons for the migration? So we have been learned in this. And finally, we have been learned about the Immigration Act of 1983 also. With this, we complete this chapter, settlements and migration. Thank you.